Hello and welcome back to the Creativity Broadcast. C'est moi, your host, Laura Westman, here to talk to you today about something a little weird that I did recently that was actually amazing. So here's a video for you. Sit tight and let's talk about what is a creativity anniversary party and why you absolutely should have one, and some best practices to make it awesome. So this thing happens. I don't know if you can relate. You are a creative person. You spend a lot of time and energy and power creating something. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's music, maybe it's a film. I don't know, whatever your creative bag is. And then usually what happens is we make the thing. Sometimes there's like a public way of handling it, like there's a book launch or a film screening or something like that. And then after that, life tends to move on. People have come to witness your thing and then they go. Or maybe they came to your listening party when you released your music and they were cool about it, but then they moved on because that's how life is. And then this thing happens where we notice as creators, our life is a little bit different having this thing made, but there's not a lot of things in place in our communities to be talking about that. And so recently I was just thinking about how lonely it can feel, even in these very public acts of creativity. And I was like, what if we took our celebration into our own hands? That is magical. I released a book, How to Be Creative in the Age of Digital Noise, and it came out in February of 2023. And for me, this was kind of an important act. This was the beginning of a big change in what my coaching business looks like, but it was also part of me really beginning to own my perspective on creativity and the role that it can play in our lives and then how much agency we can actually have in it. And I just thought, what if there was just a small, like easy to read through with journal prompts, self-help book that helps people get back to their creativity. And lo and behold, here it is. So my life changed a lot after that. I started to think about myself as an author. I now had a tangible physical thing that people could purchase from me, which is like wild. And then it also became this very interesting way for people to share about my work, about my YouTube channel, about coaching with me, about my courses, because we have this really wonderful, very, I think, helpful thing for people in print. So it was pretty cool having its own life out in the world. Like that's kind of what happens with our creations is they go on to do things that we will never know or be able to understand. They have a life of their own. But at the end of the day, creativity is vulnerability, and we need to be able to feel seen and held and celebrated in community when we make things. That's actually really healthy. And we personally are transformed by the things that we create. And so I just think that it's a huge missing that we don't have basically birthday parties for the things that we make. When I recently celebrated the first anniversary of my book, I learned a couple of things because I was like, I had this idea. I was like, it'd be kind of cool and fun to have a Zoom call, get people together, get to talk a little bit about the book, but also what's changed since writing the book for me as the creator. And then also space for people to talk about the book, like if they read it, what did they take away, what's the impact, so that I can kind of have a little bit of feedback, frankly, because like I said, we make things and we rarely know how they touch people's lives if they do. So why not create a little place where they can? It seemed like a cute idea. I emailed my email list and invited some people and set up the time and everything, and even did a cute little photo shoot with my book and a birthday cake or like a little cupcake with a candle in it and stuff to put on social media. So it was fun. It was like really fun. And then the day before and the day of, I started getting so scared, and I was just suddenly filled with self-judgment about like, why did I do this? Like people are coming, but like, why am I doing this? And I had a lot of judgments about myself. Like I'm really hamming it up and being the center of attention and asking for too much. But I think one of the best things that I learned from it was how much people around you want to celebrate you. We experience this a bit every year on our birthday if you're a birthday person, But what was cool about this was that the topic of conversation was sort of me, but it was also the book. And so I got to hear from people, not only were they proud of me or inspired by what I did or how I did it, but getting to hear from them about the difference that my book has made in their lives. And it wasn't like a written testimonial. It was like face to face on Zoom, voice to voice. It was really special, and I will always treasure it. I may do it on an annual basis because I think that there is a second, like there's a follow-up to this book for sure. And I don't know, it might be kind of cool every year in the middle of winter to just have this book anniversary party, and the theme might shift and grow over time, but it'd be really cool to do. So I will say I wholeheartedly recommend doing something like this for yourself. If you are listening to this and you're like feeling tingly or you're feeling like, oh my God, I could never do that, I want to challenge you to actually do it. So let me give you a couple of little frameworks of things to kind of make the planning of something like this easy, because yeah, it can be sort of and gross and confronting to think about setting up your own celebration. But I do think that celebration is a really important part of a healthy creative life. And so we have to look for opportunities, whether we're creating them on our own or we're like seeking out feedback. We need to look for opportunities to let our creations and our bold, courageous creativity really be celebrated. So here's what I did, and here's what you can do to put together a wonderful creativity anniversary party for the creation of your choosing. First of all, set a date. Invite people that you love and make it clear that this is about celebrating the creation and honoring your creativity and your courage. And if you are vulnerable about inviting people, they will get it. They will understand. So go ahead and set it up, create the date. If you want to do it on Zoom like I did, go ahead and set it up and send out an invite to all the people that you want to be there. Number 2, ask somebody to host it or facilitate the conversation so that you can relax and soak it up. I thought about this a couple of weeks before the party. I was thinking about the flow of it, and I a little bit overplan in general, but it was actually a really good idea to ask a dear friend of mine to host the conversation. First of all, because then I can just be part of it. But secondly, when you're being given this much attention, it's really easy to kind of emotionally black out and kind of forget what's going on, you know? So it's great to have somebody else who can be like, okay, great. Thank you so much, Laura. What do you think about this? Or da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? It's really vulnerable to be the center of attention. I felt like that on my wedding day. I was like crazy in my brain and like frozen on the outside a bit. And I also felt like that I'm telling you guys this. For my 30th birthday a couple years ago, I had a 30th birthday cabaret show, and it occurred to me when I was planning it that it was a show and I was like the main act in the show. So I needed a host. I needed someone that I knew and trusted to hold the space and work with the audience and kind of help with the transitions and stuff like that. Thank you, Casey Carden. And it was actually the best thing ever, because then the show was not only like about me, but it could also be for me so that I could relax and not have to play every role. So think about who would be that person and then talk together about how you want the flow of it to go. What we did for mine was my friend Bay, who I host West of Wonderland podcast with, was the host of my party. And so she welcomed everybody. We got some introductions like, who are you? And, you know, why are you here to celebrate this today? And she also asked for something silly, like your favorite breakfast cereal when you were a kid. So it was fun. It kind of just like lightened it up. And then we just got into it, and we went person by person. Everyone got to say how they felt about the celebration and the book. And there was an acknowledgement of me in some capacities and the book itself in some capacities. And then we also had a lot of room for my responses and getting to acknowledge the people who were there and just be open about how meaningful it was. It was really special. And then at the end, we had a lot of room for Q&A, and some of the questions were really cool. Like, what would you change if you could do it again? Or one of the favorite things that happened that was I got this reflection back that was like, so it seemed like you you said you were writing a book and then it was done. Is that true? Is that what happened? And I was like, yeah, because I wanted it to be made. So I was really committed to making something swiftly and not getting too hung up on the big picture, which can happen. But I also knew myself, and I know there are some times when I'm creating something when I actually just need the creativity of it to be very private until it's finished. There are some times when I'm very joyful and telling people about things that I'm working on when they're in process, but this one was very private. I wanted it finished and out. And so it did for people around me. I think everyone except for my husband and my sister who edited it for me. I think it sort of looked like out of nowhere, I just like, Hannah Buck. But I did work very hard on it. I was really committed that it get made without a ton of obstacles or input that can normally slow me down. So the third thing I want to share with all of you is a best practice for this, which is your mindset in going into something like this, which is don't have expectations, just invite conversation. You know, like I said, we set up a little agenda and we told people what that flow would be. And then, you know, you don't have to manage it. These are people who are here and they love you and they're going to want to share. They're going to want to celebrate and bring their leadership. So just relax and feel free to share your gratitudes too, so that this really gets to be a giving and receiving and community, which is so rare. The last thing I will also recommend is creating a party favor. I made a really cute coloring sheet that was, it was a little cat unicorn and it said, "Oh, I'm just over here enjoying my creative magic." And that was really fun to get to thank people for coming, and then they could all print it out and have some fun working on it later, just really feeling my gratitude and the spirit of playful, magical creativity. So that was cool. One other pro tip is record it. Record it. Even if you do it in person, use your voice notes app on your phone or something, because like I said before, you might forget it. You might just block it out or black out a little bit. And after I had my party, I was on a high. And then the days following, I was kind of crashing, a bit of a excitement, vulnerability hangover, which is very normal. But one of the things I did to kind of manage that was listen to the recording. I took a long walk and listened to the whole thing again. And I mean, I don't love listening to myself. It always makes me a little cringy, especially in an environment like that where I'm sort of like keyed up from being the center of attention. But it was so nice to hear what everybody said again and just like really get to take it in. And it was nice to hear it again because I could go beyond just the words that they were saying, and I could feel how much everybody meant what they said. And that's a really big gift when it's about you, but it's also a huge gift when it's about something that you made that was important to you. Yeah. So thanks to everybody who came. Thanks to everybody who has enjoyed this book and used it and celebrated it or reviewed it or just texted me about where you're reading it and the kinds of openings of possibility that are happening. It's really special. So I hope that this was really helpful. If there is an occasion coming up that you would like to celebrate and set up your own creativity anniversary party, do it. Comment below. Tell me what it is you're celebrating. Invite me. I'll come if I can. That'd be so cool. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the Creativity Broadcast because it really does help me grow my channel and grow my reach. And until next time, happy creating.